Hey y'all, IrixGuy here. Now talk about a smooth transition. Now that's what I've been working on with the broadcasting hardware that I'm using. Kevin says, "Oh, welcome aboard, Kevin. Have you ever been to Brazil?" Actually, I've never been to South America. The closest I've been to South America was it's probably St. Kitts, but it'd be a cool place to go. Have you been? Is there anything in Brazil that you recommend? Anything that you recommend enjoying or staying away from? Or no, I've never been to South America. I'd really like to hit up what's it called, Patagonia. I think that'd be a really cool place. Just such a long plane flight. Yeah, this is episode 101, and as of now, I'm using, I'd say about 70, or no, let's say 60% of the new equipment. So what you're seeing during this show, when I started out, I had the little bars, the broadcast bars, and then I went live with YouTube. I'm watching my bandwidth right now, or buffering rather, and it hasn't buffered at all, which is a positive. So everything should be coming together with this. As far as my audio is concerned, I'm just using this little own shirt thing. There shouldn't be any music playing right now because I did audio follows video. So the intro is, it shouldn't be audible anymore. Yep, and I just confirmed that by looking at my little mixer doohickey. So yeah, this is a work in progress. I mean, obviously the advantage to this is, everything is, have you been to Brazil? A beautiful woman, there you go, in Brazil. There you go down there and get married or something, or just go out on a date. So man, this stuff's coming together. So this is the intro clip that played, and it smoothly transitioned into me on the green screen set. So, that's working. The enhancements that I plan to add prior to Friday, and again, Friday's live show, if you haven't already set a reminder, be sure to set the reminder. Just go to youtube.com/IrixGuy and click the show. It's going to be a live interview with the founder and lead developer of the new social media network that's called Eloke. So that's going to be a very, very exciting show. That's Friday night. And then Saturday, have a live show with Archibald Chesterfield III and Hybrid Life. So that's going to be another one, completely different subject matter. But it ought to be cool. So that's why I've been doing these live shows, getting everything perfected. And before Friday's live show, what I ought to have is the professional audio. Now this audio is professional. This is Rode, which is very high-end audio equipment. But what I'm about to install is a broadcast quality solution, and it's a Rode solution, Rode microphone, Rode mixer. But the beauty that'll bring to the table is that it'll enable to seamlessly integrate people by phone. You can call in, be phone only participant on the show, guest on the show. You can be a face on video participant. So this equipment's going to enable all that to work seamlessly. And the best part is I'll be able to do all of this without having any sort of ongoing subscription, because whether you realize it or not, it's often, and there are exceptions, but it's often better just to to be able to buy the hardware solution outright and use a hardware solution like I'm using now, rather than having to continue to pay a monthly or an annual fee. And that was the thing. I liked Wirecast. Wirecast was was an outstanding tool. But Wirecast, having to pay, what was it, $100 or so every year just to maintain support, and if I ditched it, if I didn't renew, then I was in a situation where Mac OS is updating and the Wirecast software is behind, and it'll hit a point to where it's no longer compatible. So you're kind of, whether you like it or not, unless Wirecast changes their business model, whether you like it or not, you're locked into to paying that annual fee. So yeah, this equipment that I just got, it was expensive, but again, I mean, it's like anything else, as I mentioned as I mentioned during previous live shows, is that, you know, it's all about ROI, return on investment. So yeah, I mean, I've spent a considerable amount of money for this equipment that you're seeing right now that's doing this live show, and the equipment that's going to arrive that'll enable just, Adam, welcome aboard, man, welcome aboard. Welcome aboard. Got a bunch of people tuning in here. This is great. I hope there's no buffering issues. I think after yesterday's test show, I think that was, you know, that ironed everything out. And then today I was able to implement what I learned during yesterday's test show with the transitions and this, that, and the other, and, you know, make everything a lot more, you know, a lot more professional production quality wise. Kevin says, I'm going to start a Swagtron swag cycle rental. That's actually brilliant. You know, looking at, and what are the, you know, what's the typical Swagtron? I mean, are we looking at a few $100s or a few $1,000s? You know, how many rentals would you have to have per unit to, you know, to pay for that electronic bike? Looks good from UK, the United Kingdom. Very cool, man. Yeah, that's it's upstreaming right now. I'm looking at the 4.39, 4.61 megabits per second. So when I was doing the you know, the medium quality, and then the high quality is getting up close to 10 megabits per second. But when I was doing those, you know, those quality settings were pushing it a little bit. But this right here is 0% buffering. Now, if I'm able to, you know, after a few weeks of live streaming, if I'm able to consistently go through, you know, hour-long shows without encountering any buffering, then I may experiment with notching it up just a little bit in quality. But, you know, hopefully this quality is acceptable. Kevin says $400. So if you don't mind me asking, Kevin, oh, $50 a rental. So, wow, man. So, wow. Okay, so that's that is actually an incredible business model. So you rent that sucker 8 times, you paid for the bike. That's not, dude, that is actually a very smart, that's a very smart business right there. Yeah, 8 rentals, man, that's nothing. And then you paid for it. And then you can buy more, and you can expand your fleet, as you know, as long as you don't want too much surplus sitting around. But yeah, I mean, if you could get it to where they're all rented out, and then let's say hypothetically, you know, something happens and it kills your business. Well, now you've got all these e-bikes that are hopefully already paid for in full several times over. You can just sell your inventory, man. Yeah, that's Kevin says 6 days a week, 10-hour days, $1,000 a day. Man, that $1,000 a day. So if there's 31 days in a month, a typical month. Wow, $31,000 a month before taxes, hypothetically. That's, dude, that's, and I don't want to probe here. I mean, you know, feel free to share whatever you may want to share. Are you doing this in a coastal area where it's, where you're probably going to have, you know, a seasonal type rush, and then maybe when it's colder, you're not going to see as many rentals? Or are you doing it in an environment where the weather is pretty much good for riding these e-bikes year round? Or are you going to do it in multiple locations? Yeah, man, 1,000. Yeah, you get something that's pulling in $1,000 a day, and you know what would be really cool? You just need a tourist town. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. That's more of a, you know, you see the Segways, you see the, you know, in your case, the Swagtron swag cycle. You know, you see that kind of stuff. It's stuff that's cool. And, you know, you get let's just say a family of 3 or a family of 4. A family of 4, that's $200 right there. $200. That's half the cost of the, you know, with one family, that's half the cost of one bike. I mean, that's awesome. Upstate New York, 6 months. So in this business model, would this be during the off season? Are they just going to be in storage and maybe tune them up, or do you have an off season strategy as well for the business, or is it just going to be purely seasonal business? Upstate New York. That's really cool. I've never been to upstate New York, man. I've been to Manhattan and been over to Jersey and just really good food up there. Wow, that's a cool concept. May to October, yeah. So it's kind of like, I guess it's kind of similar to the boating season then. You know, you're going to get those tourists, probably around the same time they'll be boating. Now, do you have, as far as, I'm assuming you've got to rent a place to store all of these, or do you have brick and mortar that you're renting them out of, or do you have like your own business or your own residence where you store them and you deliver them to a certain pickup location? You know, just thinking of the overhead there. I mean, what all kinds of overhead do you have for this business? And I'm sure, let's see, there's some sort of liability insurance, I would assume. Adam says, have you been to the UK? Man, I have never. The closest I've been across the pond is not even halfway, really. I've been to Bermuda a few times, and that's a British island, but I've never been over to the UK. I'd love to go over there sometime. I think that would be really. I think that'd be a really cool place, man. Kevin says, would have to rent a small office. Yeah. Well, starting out, if you didn't want to have the brick and mortar, you could just do a delivery and just have, some sort of permissible pickup location where you say, okay, well, book online, maybe have some sort of bulk discount. If it's a if you refer X number of people, you get X discount, and then the person you refer gets X discount for that rental. And then you could just say, okay, just meet at certain place. You give them the safety briefing, whatever. Do all the waivers that your legal team put together, and send them on their way. And and I guess that would free you. You'd have some sort of lawyer write something up where if they ran off with it or returned it in damaged condition, where there would be, where they would be liable for that. And then also. Yeah, and I mean, what's the the other thing with these things? Having not messed with a Swagtron myself, what's your what are the maintenance intervals? What do you have to, how often do you have to tune these up, and what kind of cost is involved to keep them running in 100% order? Adam says, why not? Well, the thing is, man, I hate to fly, man. I mean, I can get. Almost landed on a helicopter when I was really little. Almost landed on a helicopter out in LAX, out in Los Angeles, and ever since then I just don't enjoy flying. I mean, granted, I mean, if I gotta fly, I'll do I like to do the early flight, and I'll just I'll get my Jägermeister and get some shots of Jägermeister, and I'm good to go. But only for a short duration flight, and that's the thing. Flying overseas. That's a long flight, man, and I mean, you pretty much have to, if you've got a fear of flying, I mean, that Jägermeister is only going to last so long, and I don't think I could survive the long endurance of having to go from the East Coast of the United States over to Europe. What is it? Is it an 8-hour flight, or? Maybe if they bring the Concorde back, maybe I'll do it. I hate to fly, man. I've got to be in control of the situation, and when I'm in an airplane, I'm not. And it's a bad feeling, and I can get by with a 2 or 3 hour flight because I just get boozed up, and before I know it, I'm there. So that's not a problem, but yeah, I mean that's the biggest deterrent. And if it wasn't for that, I mean, I would love to go over there because there's so much stuff. There's the castles, there's the all sorts of different food, different terrain. Basically a YouTuber's paradise. Because that's that would be cool. Adam says, I know what you mean. I like things that fly as drones. It flies as it crashes. 8-ish, yeah. So about 8 hours to get over to the UK from New York. That's a long flight, man. I mean, that's a long flight for someone that can hardly tolerate flying. So yeah, maybe if they bring that Concorde back, you know, and I can get over there in a few hours, I think I'd be game for it for sure. But yeah, I mean, from the East Coast, you know, you're going from the East Coast to the United States. You go from the East Coast in an airplane from, say, Charlotte, North Carolina. You go from Charlotte, North Carolina to Charlotte, Amali, which is in St. Thomas. What is that, a 3 to 4 hour flight? Not bad at all. And it's, I mean, you know, just, yeah, I mean, that's tolerable. But when it goes beyond that, man, I get, ooh. You know, I couldn't imagine being, you know, and a lot of people don't mind flying. They actually enjoy it. I hate it. And it's, you know, it's not just the, you know, the fact that I almost crashed into a helicopter on the runway in Los Angeles. You know, that had a big thing to do with it. I don't like the crowds. I don't like all the, you know, I mean, I just feel, you know, when you're traveling in an airplane, it's just like, you know, you're just part of a herd of cattle. You know, they're just pushing you through checkpoints and poking you and prodding you, and there's sick people coughing on you. There's people that don't practice good hygiene and they just stink, and they're on the airplane with you, and it's just, I don't like it. Adam went to Jamaica, 11 hours, man. Oh, ouch. Yeah, that's painful, dude. It's funny, when we were landing in St. Kitts, which is not far from Jamaica, by the way. British Airways had one of their big airliners that was landing, and these people getting off, they were kind of half dead. You could tell they'd been awake for who knows how long. But yeah, I mean, that's cool, man. Yeah, Jamaica's a fun place. Did you hit up? Did you happen to hit up Rick's Cafe in the grill where the guys jump off of the bluff into the little pond? Or I wouldn't call it a pond, it's just a pool of ocean water. Yeah, so that's, and right now, guys, this broadcast is still going 0% buffering, which is awesome. Adam says, in an emergency, I don't want a mask to drop down. I want a parachute. Yeah, that's the thing, man. Pretty much with commercial airliners, at least today, I mean, if, you know, something goes wrong, I mean, that's it. You're done, man. You know, there's no parachute. There's no good luck charm or anything. I mean, you're just, oh, and I just touched my eye, but I've been social distancing. I've done a little bit of essential business, but I thoroughly scrub my hands, and then one thing that a lot of people neglect is, and obviously I trim my fingernails, but you know, you don't think about, you know, one of the places where you collect a lot of germs, and you know, during this pandemic, it's of utmost importance. But what I like to do, I've got a spray sanitizer that I use as well, and I'm very careful when I spray it. I want to make sure I get it underneath my short fingernail tips, and then that way I hopefully further reduce the possibility of contracting the COVID. So, I mean, who knows? I mean, none of this stuff may work. Let's see. Adam says, yes, I did. They dive off a tree. Yeah, that's a fun place, man. We stayed in the grill. And this was pretty crazy. I don't know if you've heard about the hedonism 2 in the grill. That's where I stayed. And stayed on the prude side. This girl I was dating at the time, we went down there and stayed on the prude side of the island, and not of the island, but of the resort. They had the prude, and then they had the you know what. But they had this, you know, Jamaica's famous for their jerk chicken, which is just a really delicious grilled chicken with a locally created sauce, a jerk seasoning, or a jerk dipping sauce rather. And the only way to get that jerk chicken every day, it was at 4:20 every day on the beach, and it wasn't on the prude side. So basically just got, loaded up on Appleton rum, and just stripped down, ran over there, got this plate of freshly cooked jerk chicken in Jamaica, went out in the ocean and ate it on a paper plate. So that was an interesting experience. Adam says, "Are you worried about COVID-19?" Let's see. Yeah, it's and granted, and it's a highly political topic, but even although that COVID-19 is a political topic, the virus actually exists. And something I drank tons of Red Stripe. I love those little beers. Yeah, I lived off of Red Stripe, Appleton rum, because that was the thing at Hedonism too, was open bar. It was all inclusive. So you just drank and ate all you wanted. So it was, it was good. Yeah, I mean, COVID-19 it's like I was explaining to somebody earlier, it's like, you go out and you go into the restaurant and you try all these different foods and, stuff you may like, you may not like, who cares? I mean, the worst that's going to happen, you're going to eat something you don't like. Thing is with COVID is that, yeah, it exists. So is it as bad as certain people want you to think it is, or is it not? Well, it's probably not, but, think about it. I mean, even though it's probably not as bad as a lot of people want you to believe, it's still not good. It's not like a tasty treat or a topping on your ice cream. It's not an enjoyable thing. So for that reason, my personal choice and what I've encouraged people that I know to do is, hey, COVID is not your friend. It's not gonna function as a value add. So there's no way you can turn COVID into a positive. So with that being the case, if you can avoid it, if you can stick to essential business only and and vigilantly rather, scrub your hands thoroughly and wear a mask and try not to, whether masks work or not, that's that's up in the air too. I mean, that's heavily disputed, and I mean, it's just kind of it's a horrible worldwide situation. But the thing is, my thing is without getting political about it, I don't want to. And there's a lot of people, you're saying herd immunity. There's a lot of people that feel that's the case. I mean, that's the best solution. However, the problem that I personally have with that is that that's telling people they got to get exposed to this, and inevitably, there's people that are in higher risk categories, and there's people that are, and I'm not a doctor, by the way, so if anybody's watching this and y'all think I'm a doctor, I'm not. I'm just, sharing this for entertainment purposes only. But, yeah, I mean, I don't want to toy with it. My thing is, and I'll just, be blunt about it, the world as a whole reacted too slowly. And what happened is that by the world as a whole reacting too slowly, and that, politics aside, that's just the world as a whole. That's all political parties, that's all countries, all states, provinces, whatever you want to call them. They acted too slowly, and this got out too quickly. And my assumption, my educated assumption, and again, it's an assumption because there's really no true way to prove or disprove this, but my thoughts are is that this was probably out, and it was probably among us a lot longer than it was, heavily pumped by the media. So it was probably out there a long time before. The only way I think we could have prevented this as a world would have been to, as soon as this leaked out of wherever, whether it was China or somewhere else, wherever it leaked from, as soon as that leak occurred, that area should have been locked down within, X number of miles radius. And that apparently didn't happen because now it's all over the world. So, I don't, again, I'm not gonna live my life in fear, but I'm not gonna go out in a restaurant and sit down and eat in an enclosed area with a bunch of people, because it's just, it's risk reward. Now, the value that this has provided, obviously, and this was the, I do a lot of collaborations with entrepreneurs, and one of the things that it's one of the positive aspects of COVID, not to turn it into a positive thing, but, most anything, you try to see the bright side. One of the positive aspects of COVID is that it has created heightened demand for things like this, live streams, for individuals, for businesses. It's caused people to realize that, everything can be quickly disrupted, and in this case, it was a global pandemic. But, there's all other types of disruptions. I mean, there's a power outage, an EMP attack, that sort of stuff. I mean, there's a lot of things that can disrupt things globally. And in this case, it was just, it was a virus. But, you could have power issues. You could have, some sort of contaminants in the water. I mean, there's so much stuff. Adam says supermarket is a high-risk area. Yep, and for that reason, obviously anytime I'm out, and, I'm not the guy driving the car with a mask on, but anytime I'm out where I think that I may come into close contact with people outdoors, I have a mask handy so I can put it on. Anytime I have to go in a place, like a store, like a grocery store, I'm going to mask up. But the beauty of it is, at least over here in the United States, there's a lot of places that have, so kind of my workflow has been this. Okay, number one, can I get it on Amazon? Okay, if so, I'm going to do that. So, non-perishable food items, any sort of necessities that I have, can I get it on Amazon? Yes. Okay, I'm going to get it there. Plan B is, can I get it from a local grocery store or big box retailer? Okay, if yes, then which of those grocery stores and big box retailers offer shopping online? Because I want to order online. Not only do I want to order online, but I want to pay online. And one of the most upsetting things for me is that there's some places I'd like to go, and admittedly I have, because I just crave this stuff so much. But some restaurants where you'd like to go and pick something up, because you should support your local businesses during this time, because if people don't support their local economies, it's going to be even worse. But there's a lot of local businesses that have implemented, and see, this is where the pandemic's provided positive value, have implemented online ordering. A lot of mom and pop type restaurants and stuff that in the past had never even thought about creating order online or paying online, but because of the pandemic, it forced them into it, and now they're realizing it's actually a good thing for their business. So for that reason, I always preference the pickup food places where I can place an order online, but also pay online, because regardless of how much hand sanitizer you have, regardless of how vigilant one feels they may be, when you go to that drive-thru to get your food and you hand them your credit card, stay away from cash, man. I don't touch cash right now. But you hand them your credit card, and then they hand you that little credit card tray and a pen to sign. Okay, number one, if they hand me a pen, I already have my pen in my hand. I'm like, nope, don't need a pen. Just need to sign the paper receipt. So a lot of them are good because they'll just pass you a paper receipt, and then you use your own pen that you keep in your vehicle. So, you're still making contact with the receipt that the employee had touched. And the thing is, though, you got to think about, people that are, whether they've got gloves on or not. If they've got gloves on, that's all. That often, I look at gloves when you're doing pickup fast food, or not necessarily fast food, but just pick up food in general. There's a few things I think of when I see gloves. Number one, okay, they're handing me my credit card with gloves on. Okay, I understand we're in a pandemic. But is the person that's processing the payments at the window also the person that's cooking the food? If so, did they change their gloves before they switched to the food, or are they wearing the same gloves? Are they solely at the drive-through window only? If so, did they change their gloves as new customers came up? Probably not. Gloves are in short supply. So whether they're barehanded or they've got a gloved hand, when they're going through all these customers are coming and going, they're handling their cash, they're handling their credit cards, they're handling that, that tray that you put your payment on, whether it's credit card or cash. That tray, if they give you a tray at a drive-through, that is infested potentially infested with viruses. I mean, not just talking about the COVID, but anything. So if I can pay 100% online, there's a place I did recently, paid 100% online, paid ordered online, paid online, went to the establishment, hey, I'm here, brought the food out, here's your sack, they've got a mask on, I've got my mask on because they're coming close to me. I grab my sack of food, I put it in the floorboard of the car, and drive off. And then, I spray my hands with my hand sanitizer, and then I remove my mask. So it's, a lot of people may say that's paranoid, but it's, Adam says, do people where you are take this seriously, or are they of the if I get it attitude, in your opinion? I agree with you, glove statement, and I've said that to many. Yeah, well, on the East Coast, I'm on the East Coast of the United States currently. I get around, but the consensus here, and without getting political about it, but I will state a few things that I feel are the reasons why people behave like they do. So there's a large camp, and this is where it gets mucky, okay? Because obviously I'm a capitalist, I'm an entrepreneur, I love business. But where it gets mucky is that there's a lot of people, so there's a few camps of people here in the United States. There's the people that are 100% convinced, whether they were initially or they had to force themselves to feel this way. There's a large camp of people that are 100% convinced. I mean, there's no doubt in their mind. They are genuinely convinced that this virus does not exist. And they're genuinely convinced that it doesn't exist, so they don't have to wear, and they would refuse to wear a mask because they feel that wearing a mask shows weakness and it shows conformity. And that's one camp of people. The other camp of people are the people that think that the virus does exist, but even though they think the virus does exist, they still refuse to wear a mask because they feel like it's overreach of government. Government's trying to take over and force people to wear masks. Well, if they force you to wear a mask, what's next? So that's another camp of people. Then there's a camp of people that are scared to death of this virus. There's all different spectrums here. So the people that are scared to death, they're always wearing a mask. They've always got gloves on. If they've got gloves, they're religiously carrying hand sanitizer, scrubbing wipes, that sort of stuff. Then there's the people that are doing it solely for the benefit of others. So there's people that are like, okay, they know that this virus exists. They may not personally care because, in their mind, they know the virus exists, but, they're convinced they're healthy and they don't have any pre-existing conditions that would make them, more susceptible to death. So, otherwise they probably wouldn't wear a mask, but for the benefit of others that may have compromised immune systems, for the benefit of others that may have, pre-existing conditions, they will wear the mask just for the benefit of others. They could care less about themselves because they're convinced that they're healthy and that this virus won't attack them. So there's all these different spectrums of people just on the on the East Coast of the United States. But I would say on the East Coast of the United States, now I don't know how familiar you are with the politics on this side of the pond, but there's obviously Republicans and Democrats. So typically your Democrats, they're going to be religiously wearing the mask. Typically your ultra right-wing Republicans are not going to be wearing the mask. And it's what has happened in the United States, and this is what the media won't tell you, but what's happened in the United States is that, the mask wearing, whether to wear a mask or whether to not wear a mask, it's become a political issue. So, if you're an ultra-conservative Republican and you're seen wearing a mask, by many that's perceived as a sign of weakness. And I will never mention my political affiliation, but, I'll wear a mask and I don't care. I'm pro-business, I'm pro-entrepreneurship, I'm pro-capitalism, but I will wear a mask, not just for myself, but for the benefit of others. And granted, I mean, this is this is where it gets really mucky. You know, a lot of people, so there's all those people that they've developed their decision whether to wear a mask or not wear a mask purely based upon politics. This virus doesn't care about politics. Now, there's a lot of political agendas that are using this virus to their advantage or to their future advantage, and I acknowledge that. Let's see, Mike says, it's simple common courtesy to wear a mask, just like covering your mouth when you sneeze. People that think differently are very inconsiderate. I agree 100%. Adam says, in UK, some suggest the virus is caused by 5G mast. Have you heard? I have not heard of that. What is that? What is a 5? Oh, like a cell phone tower? You're talking about like a 5G cell phone tower? And if that's the case, that's a slippery slope, because if it's caused by, well, cellular networks, a data network, you know, that could open the floodgates to you know, to shut down our internet. Now, can you imagine now if, you know, the worldwide, you know, coming and going as we have been accustomed to in the past has been crippled because of the virus. Can you imagine if we're crippled and abundance of us are working from home, if we then lost our internet? I mean, you're talking that could be, yeah. So, I mean, I don't know. I mean, so the way I choose to look at it, and I'm not saying this is right or wrong, I think it's right because it's how I feel. The way I choose to look at it is that I don't care if you're a Democrat, I don't care if you're a Republican, I don't care if you're an independent, I don't care who you are. You know, I'm going to do what I feel is right, and that's wearing a mask. Now, I'm not, you know, when I'm going out and exercising, I'm not around anybody, I'm not going to wear a mask then, because I think there could be some, and I'm not a doctor, but there could be some health concerns associated with wearing a mask, you know, while performing cardiovascular activities. So, you know, with that being the case, you know, I don't want to have a mask on when I'm working out. So it's Adam says there are YouTube videos of trees growing abnormally and lack of birds where there are a few 5G masts. Well, you know, I will say with the cellular towers, and this has always been a concern of mine, not just cellular towers, but big, you know, big power lines and that sort of stuff. You know, the fear of cancer. You know, those, you know, someone that's, say, for example, living under large electrical lines or whatever, you know, I think the risk of cancer is probably enhanced for those people. The thought that cell towers would have caused COVID, I mean, it sounds outlandish, but here's the thing, you know, probably none of us are viral experts. You know, we probably, you know, we watch YouTube videos and fly drones, but we're, you know, if you put us in a laboratory and said, hey, you know, tell us all about this virus and tell us how it originated and tell us how it's going to mutate and, you know, what's the antidote for this virus, you know, how do you do, you know, probably a lot of us would be in the dark. Adam says radiation. Yeah, radiation, there's nothing rad about radiation. Radiation is, I mean, but radiation in small amounts, and this is a true story. So this particular watch glows. It's got what's called Superluminova on it. This particular brand of watch that I'm wearing right now, Panerai, if you look up historically, Panerai, and this was before they really understood radiation, but the original team that made Panerai watches, they were rubbing all of this radiation on, you know, putting it in the watch dials every day, and most of those, I mean, it's awful. Most of them died of cancer because it was radioactive. This Superluminova rather is somewhat radioactive too. So I mean, who knows? I mean, it's crazy. And then Adam says 5G is heavily amplified, similar to microwave. I don't believe it, to be honest. Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things. I don't. they always say trust your gut, and I've gotten a bigger gut from this, from this pandemic. And I'm ready to go back to the gym and do that, but I don't want to be in a gym right now in an enclosed space, with a lot of people, because you don't know, the people that you're around, there's so many people that, again, the camp of people that don't take it seriously. I mean, they're just coming and going freely like they did before the COVID, and, on a typical day, someone that doesn't care, doesn't take this seriously. All it takes is one person that, just live their life like normal. They've been to all the superstores, they've been to all the, the public gatherings, and they've done all of that, and then boom, they come into, wherever you and or other people that have been vigilant about wearing a mask and, keeping their hands away from their face and using hand sanitizer and soap, and all of that goes out the door. All it takes is that one person, and then, all these other people get it. So, I mean, and Adam, I'm with you on that, scaremongering. That's one of the biggest problems in the United States. Actually, all the scaremongering, the fear-mongering, that's one of the things that has prompted a lot of people that would have been responsible people, wearing a mask. It's all the scaremongering that's turned them, the media has turned them against wearing a mask, because, I mean, the media in the United States is just constantly, and there are some networks that don't, but the majority of the media are just trying to inject fear, fear, fear. And, that's had a reverse effect on a lot of people, a lot of responsible mask-wearing people, because now they're not going to do it because they're like, the media is just trying to scare me. And it, it creates, there's so many, I mean, and again, you just got to, like I've told everyone, we've all got political views, but put politics aside and just, think about it the quickest way. So the elevator spill, why you should wear a mask. You had to do an elevator pitch, you've got a new business idea or whatever, you want to have an elevator spill, and that's basically you're in an elevator and you want to convey to, whatever angel investor or whatever that they should invest in your product or service, and you've got to do it before that elevator door opens. So the elevator spill for COVID, why you should wear a mask would be, and I mean, this is just my elevator spill, and love to hear y'all's. Mine would be, you've got a virus, you don't know how it originated, you don't know how dangerous it may be, you don't know if there's going to be a cure, you don't know if it's going to mutate, you don't know if it's going to affect you, but it probably will affect people that are at, have pre-existing conditions. You need to wear a mask. That's it. It's that simple. No politics mentioned. We don't know about this virus. Until you know all the facts, that's like going out and, I mean, and I, being live here and being a, a talk show host, I don't want to say anything that's going to encourage someone to go out and do something stupid and get sick, but that would be like somebody saying, well, let's just think, for example, let's say a medication. Let's say there wasn't an FDA, the Food and Drug Administration. So let's say that you're a company, a for-profit company, and all you had to do to put a drug in people's hands, medication, not a drug, medication. You didn't have to go through any sort of testing process. You didn't have to go through any sort of approval process, whether it's the FDA or whatever. If you were a company, a privately held company, and you could go out and create a medicine and bring it to market without any sort of testing, it could be fatal. It's not tested. I mean, if you could just go out there and just sell it on the street, or not on the street, but sell it in stores anywhere without having any sort of testing requirements or anything. That's kind of like COVID, because COVID, although it's not a medicine, it's a virus. And people were jumping to these radical assumptions that, oh, well, it's been almost a year now, so, we're tired of it. We just got to go on and live our life and forget that it's here. Adam says, doctors have worn masks for as long as hospitals have been around. If they didn't help, they wouldn't wear them. And, I think part of this mask thing, too, is that, there's a big, there's a big camp that want to see the virus spread. And one of the, here in the United States, for example, there's a big, and again, this is, and I don't discuss my political affiliation, but I will say this: there's a big camp in the United States that see if if this virus can spread, it could potentially, benefit one of the two political parties, because if this virus continues to spread, that party is trying to, get votes from home, and if they get votes from home, they can probably manipulate the election. So, this is a really, sick and twisted time, and there's a lot of, there's more to this virus than the virus itself. But you could go on, you could discuss this, and I know we're all sick of it, because I can't even turn on the TV or the news. I hadn't watched the news in years. I mean, if I do watch the news, maybe I'll watch 5 minutes of Fox News, once a week or something. That's about it. I don't like the news. Adam says masks are not 100%, gloves not 100%, but lessons are really, nothing's 100%, man. You just gotta. Nothing's guaranteed. Cost of a mask surely is worth wearing them. Yeah, I think, I invested in and as far as I know, they may be counterfeit, but I got the N95s off of Fleabay, right before things started getting really hyped up. And yeah, I paid a good bit. I think for where I get 10 masks, I think I paid, it was ridiculous. It was like $30 or something, $30 US. So, it was a decent investment. But again, I'd never look back and be like, well, God, I should have spent $30 on 2 cases of beer. I didn't look at it like that. I look at it like, okay, I spent $30. These probably won't work. They may even be counterfeit, but, at least, number one, it may work. It's probably better than not having one. And if it doesn't work, at least from a perception perspective, it says, hey, yeah, it's okay to wear a mask. He wears a mask. Maybe I should too. Let's stop the spread of this stuff. Let's use some common sense here and step outside of the political battle. And you know what's funny about it? If you don't turn on the news and you just live your life with people around you in the real world, and you live your life with YouTube channels and live shows and stuff like this, then you don't have to watch all that crap on the news, and you don't have to watch all of that on the mainstream social media. If you're aware of what's going on and say, okay, yeah, there's a virus out there. Okay, yes, this virus is highly contagious. Yes, it could be deadly. If you just look at it like that, and you try to distance yourself as much as possible, you try to wear a mask, you wash your hands, you don't put your hands near your face, you may be in a better position. Adam says, if you get it, you've done all you can. That's true, man. That's like, trying to think of a good analogy here. Okay, you're in a boat, and you hit a log in the lake, right? So you hit a log, and then the boat starts to sink, and you get your bucket out, and you start bailing the water out, and it's still filling up, and then you find, you got your bilge pump, you found out it was turned off, so you turn it on, it starts pumping more water out, and it's still filling up, and then you find like your cooler, and you dump all your beer out of your cooler, and you start using your cooler to scoop all the water out of the boat, and it's still sinking. And then you shoot off a flare gun, and you wave and shout, and none of the boats nearby come and get you, so your boat sinks. So, and you had your life jackets on, and you threw your beer out of the cooler, and you got the empty cooler, so at least you can float, and you've got a big cooler full of beer to swim to shore, and you lost your boat, but at least you got out. Like you said, you did everything you could. So, it's I don't know. But yeah, it has been it's been an educational time. One of the things that that COVID has taught me is how ignorant a lot of people that I felt were intelligent actually are. And that's the, well, not just ignorant, but also how selfish people are. And I'm a selfish dude, don't get me wrong. I'm probably one of the most, I'm not saying the most selfish people you'll meet, but I'm very selfish, and I'm not going to deny that. But when it comes to something like this, where other people's health could be at risk, I'm not going to go around and not wear a mask when I'm around other people. I mean, come on, man. I mean, it's just, I don't know. It's these are turbulent times, but these turbulent times are also a turning point, and that's what to remember. Because I mean, you know, this will make the history books. I mean, this will be in the history books for a long time. Adam says, next bubonic plague. Speaking of bubonic plague and scaremongering, fear-mongering, and I hate to even mention this because I'm not even going to mention it. No, I'm not even going to mention it because then I become part of the problem. Then I become the fake news. So I'm not even going to say what I was about to say. But when you said bubonic plague, that made me think of it. Yeah, I mean, this will make the history books, and it will. It'll also, but see, you got to look at the good thing. The positive side of this is that, you know, it's caused a lot of industries to react. You know, a lot of industries that never would have. You know, there's so many industries out there that like, well, you know, we can't have a work from home workforce or whatever. You know, there were so many industries that Mike, the drone ranger, I've been wearing a mask for years since I'm scary. Oh, there you go, man. But yeah, so many industries out there that would have never even given a work at home model a second glance. But because of COVID, you know, it's caused a lot of industries to say, okay, well, you know, this is bad. You know, COVID is bad. We didn't expect this, but it's forced a lot of industries into, you know, reevaluating how they do business. You know, can they reduce travel cost by implementing, you know, better work from anywhere tools, conferencing tools? You know, can they reduce travel costs? Can they actually create more free time for people? Because what happens, I mean, anytime that the people are in positions where they've got to travel a lot, you know, that travel time is time wasted. So if you can virtually interact with people, the challenge has been historically that a lot of industries, even though one business may be able to, you know, may have all the infrastructure in place to, you know, to do business with people all throughout the world with video cameras and microphones, whatever, the business on the other end that they're interacting with may not have that capability. And, you know, therefore, the business that does have all of that, they're forced to have to fly or drive and incur all of those travel expenses because the business that they're doing business with does not have that technology. But see, now what's going to happen is that you're going to see all sorts of businesses upgrade their technology. You know, you're going to see a lot of businesses realizing the need for, you know, for work at home systems. I mean, not just a camera, not just a microphone, but I mean a full-fledged work from, and I shouldn't say work from home, because work from home in a lot of business realms, work from home has, it inadvertently has it projects the false perception of laziness. Because you say work from home, that implies that someone's too lazy to go to work, so they're at home. And, you know, anyone working from home, they must not be doing their job. You know, they're just at home because they're too lazy to go to work. The politically correct, and I hate political correctness, by the way, but in this scenario, I think it's appropriate. The politically correct way to say work from home is work from anywhere, because work from anywhere implies freedom. It doesn't say home, which people could assume is lazy, means lazy. It's just work from anywhere, or work from remote. Work from anywhere or work from remote. Either of those terms are acceptable. So, you know, the product of COVID, one of the positive products of COVID is, you know, an emphasis upon work from anywhere, work from remote. And, you know, I think that's going to, you know, to change the business landscape for the better. And it's, you know, I don't know if y'all are fans of you know, busy airports and train stations and all that. I mean, even before COVID, I don't want to deal with that. I'd rather just be in a comfortable environment in front of a video camera and a microphone. So Adam says, DJI made a brave move this year. With the Mavic Air 2, I think it's almost, here's the way I look at Mavic Air 2. Mavic Air 2 is great. I like Mavic Air 2 better than Mavic 2 Pro. The only thing is there's a slight edge that the Mavic 2 Pro gets because it's got a 1-inch sensor. In low light scenarios, the 1-inch sensor does a little bit better than the Mavic Air 2. With that being said, the autofocus on the Mavic Air 2 grossly trumps the Mavic 2 Pro. So, and the battery life's better, everything else is better, the controller's better. For that reason, Mavic Air 2 is my favorite drone. I think that DJI, to your point, I think they made a brave move because they released something so powerful from, it just didn't seem, I mean, Mavic Air was good, the original Mavic Air, but Mavic Air 2 was a magical leap forward. You didn't expect to get that much out of the Mavic Air line from DJI. So they've almost over-delivered, and yeah, drones are expensive. They've almost over-delivered, but they didn't, charge a premium like they could have. So that tells me that Mavic 3 is just going to be something, just knock it out of the park. So, yeah, price is better. I mean, and again, if some people would step up and compete with DJI. I mean, I know there's other companies that sell drones, but there's not another drone company that I'm aware of that wants to compete with DJI. Okay, well, we're a drone company, we sell drones, and they don't compete. You got to compete, because once a competitor comes to the playing field, then that is when we're going to see better prices. That's when we're going to see more rapid innovation. That's when we're really going to see this drone industry ignite. And I mean, right now we're just enjoying whatever DJI feels to release out of the kindness of their heart, because they don't have competition. So I mean, but yeah, I think it was the fact that they released. If they didn't have anything else in the works right now, I don't think they would have released the Mavic Air 2 this year. I think they would have held off and released it later. The fact that they released the Mavic Air 2 this year suggests to me that, hopefully, and I'm still, leaning towards Q1 of 2021 for the Mavic 3. There are a few people that think that the Mavic 3 could hit the end of 2020, but I think 2020 has been such a horrible year for everyone in the world that it would just not be in DJI's best interest to release the Mavic 3 during 2020. So hopefully Q1 or Q2 of 2021 we'll see that. And I mean, I can't even, we've speculated we'll have to do another epic drone show and really dig into the dirt and put our heads together and think about what all this Mavic 3 should bring to the table, and what all we think that it actually will bring to the table. So let's see. Adam says, what about PowerVision Egg drone, which can be flown in the rain? I've seen that. I've never flown it. I don't know. Have you seen one or flown one or I mean, flying in the rain sounds good, but is it actually good, or is it gimmicky, or I can't I can't say, because I've never had my hands on it. So let's see, we got Spizo. I hope I pronounced that correctly. Oh wait, actually we got Tommy and then we got Spizo. Oh, now this is okay, so Spizo is S-P-I-Z-Z-O, and I know that because John told me how to pronounce it. And now I've got Tommy, and I hope I don't butcher this. Tommy LaJoy, Tommy LaHoy. Tommy LaHoy says, hello, is that the Rode Wireless Go system? If so, do you recommend it? That is indeed the Rode Wireless Go system. And this right here is the Rode Lavalier Go. that I don't have connected right now. And this has a fuzzy windscreen that you can, oh, and by the way, check out my website, IrixGuy.com, and you can find the Rode Wireless Go and all the accessories there. But it has this little fuzzy windscreen right here you can put on, and I use this quite extensively out in the field. This does a great job of, of dampening, any sort of wind noise. The lavalier mic is exceptional, and what I like about it is that it just plugs into this Rode Wireless Go that's on my shirt right now. But if I was using the lavalier, what I would do is run the lavalier up my shirt, clip the lavalier up here, and put this, this wireless receiver either in my pocket or on the strap of my underwear. And it's a wonderful product. Now, the other thing, and I'm not sponsored by Rode or anything, the other thing that's cool is this, and I don't know if you've seen this. This is an interview microphone. You can find it on my website too. And you just put your Wireless Go in that, you put your windscreen on top, and you go out on the street, and you're like, hey y'all, you want to be interviewed? I'll interview you. You got a microphone. No batteries, no nothing, just a nice, confident grip. Looks professional. Wonderful, wonderful product. I'm actually obsessed with Rode microphones. It's funny because, Tommy, I appreciate it. I don't even have, like I said, I don't have the lavalier on. I don't even have the windscreen on. I got my air conditioner up there blowing on me. This thing sounds good. But what I can't wait for you to hear, and hopefully tomorrow evening, if not tomorrow evening, Friday for sure, be sure to set a reminder. I've got a big show Friday interviewing the founder and lead developer of Elope, which is going to be the next big social media network. It's going to go neck and neck with Facebook. And then Saturday, I've got Archibald Chesterfield III and Hybrid Life. But before those shows, I'm going to be putting something in this studio, and it's from Rode, man. Not from Rode. I bought it. It's made by Rode. But it's called a Rodecaster Pro. Now, this microphone sounds good. This microphone is simply connected to my Sony Alpha. It's got the, the receiver on the other end. Or, wait, that would be the transmitter. This would be the receiver. And it does as you said, it does a good job. But when I put this Rodecaster Pro in here, and again, I hope to have this maybe even tomorrow evening. As soon as I do, I'll be doing a live show. But what the Rodecaster Pro does, it has something called a voice exciter. So one of the things it'll do is excite the voice. So if you've ever listened to a professional radio show or anything, you got that sound, the sound that a legitimate radio show has, or a talk show on TV. You get that. A lot of people use lavaliers. A lot of people use. But for the radio sound, just wait till you hear that. I'm excited for everyone to hear that because it's got the voice exciter. And then I've got it's a Rode microphone that uses XLR, which is that, a really thick cable. And John Spizzo says, let's see. Oh, John Spizzo says, hello, my friend, just saw the notification. Welcome aboard, as usual. Adam says, seen on TV, like the idea of waterproof, can fly on cloudy days without fear of water damage. Talking about the, what was that, the egg, the PowerVision egg. Sounds like a grill. John Spizzo says, cool audio equipment, gotta love the Rode company. Tommy says, I'll be here tomorrow, my friend. Good deal. Yeah, hopefully I'll have that by tomorrow evening. The thing is with this show, so everything that you're hearing now, this microphone is just connected directly into my Sony Alpha, which is plugged by way of HDMI into my Blackmagic ATEM Mini Pro. So that's how all of this, and the ATEM Mini Pro is streaming this, and the ATEM Mini Pro is handling the green screen and the lower third and all of that. But tomorrow evening, hopefully, if it comes in tomorrow evening, it may not, but as soon as it does, it should be here by Friday. This audio will be replaced by the Rodecaster Pro, which should just take this to the next level. And it's got, Adam says it's 1 a.m. in the UK time. Got to take the devil child to school in the morning. Thanks and good night. Hey, Adam, thanks for tuning in, sir. Especially at such an early morning hour. Greatly appreciated, and I hope to see you during the next live show, man. Be safe. But yeah, that'll replace the audio. But the other value add that the Rodecaster Pro is going to bring to the table. So keep in mind right now, I've got my ATEM Mini Pro, which is one camera. This audio and the camera's video that you're seeing me face on video, that's going through that same HDMI port. The background you're seeing is going through another HDMI port. That's actually playing a video, one of my Apple TVs. The intro clip, that's going to be from another Apple TV, and that's HDMI 3 of 4, and then HDMI 4 of 4 on the ATEM Mini Pro is my laptop's extended monitor. So during Friday night show and Saturday night show, when I have the live guest, you're going to see and hear. So the audio, when you see them, that's going to be because I'm sharing my screen. When you hear them, that'll be their microphones on their end, but I'll be bringing them in through this Rodecaster Pro, which I'm also linked into with my professional broadcast quality Rode XLR microphone. So it's going to be, I don't want to say experiment, because this will become the new normal for the live shows here, the live shows that are in the studio. Because, I'm like, well, I put all these acoustic panels up. I did all this professional lighting. I invested heavily in, in the camera bodies, the camera lenses. And, it's just Tommy says, very nice setup. I appreciate it, man. I mean, it's just it's a step by step. As this channel grows, as people have supported the channel with their subscriptions, with their likes, sharing with others, patreon.com/IrixGuy's, super chats during live shows like this one. I mean, just, shopping, you're shopping for microphones, you're shopping for computers, check my links, check my website, IrixGuy.com. All of that has fueled this passion. So it's enabled me to, to continue to reinvest and build this, this live streaming brand. And it's, the cool thing is, though, is just the experimentation, going with entry-level equipment and then slowly upgrading and figuring out where the gaps are. And, having at times some really good equipment, but you find that it's not for you. You don't like the interface, or you don't like, the production quality of it. And you're like, well, how about I replace this with that? So I finally, I've determined that, yes, this live streaming through the ATEM Mini Pro is the way to go, because I'm able to offload my chroma keying. I'm able to have multiple video and audio imports. I'm able to do transitions, all of that good stuff, without having to depend upon software that, number one, has a subscription fee, and number two, is consuming the processing power of my computer. Like this live show right now, I've got my laptop. If I didn't want to see my, my studio monitor, I could do this without the laptop. I could do it with, an iPhone in my hand to read your comments. So it's a very, very a greatly improved setup, I would say, from what I was using in the past. And I think this, and again, I confidently say I'm thinking that this Rodecaster Pro is going to be the icing on the cake. Because when you put that in there, and then, I can even Bluetooth it with my cell phone. So I can have, if someone's not using Skype or Uber conference or whatever, I can bring people in with a phone call. Hey, give me a ring. You'll be a guest on the show. Let's chat about whatever. Something I want to integrate within these upcoming live shows is just a call for, like how-to. Maybe I have a how-to segment, and I break these shows up where I've got, the how-to section where people can call and ask, do they have a video production question? Do they have a computer question? What is a question of the day? Maybe just a question of the day type thing where people can call in. Tommy says, do you have the Rode NT1 for podcasting? Actually, there's several types of Rode microphones now. I haven't married myself to one solution yet. The mic that I have coming, and this is what you'll hopefully hear tomorrow evening or the next evening, is the pod mic, which isn't quite the price point. I think the NT1 or NT1A, I think it's a little bit over 200 US. The mic I got's probably around 100 US. But doing audible comparisons online, from what my ears were telling me, I couldn't really. And I mean, granted, I would spend more for the for the premium product if I felt it was necessary. But, you know, from what I heard, I don't know, and I may be wrong. I mean, when my pod mic arrives, I may say, okay, this isn't good enough, and swap the pod mic out for the NT1 or the Procaster. You know, that's another one. So be interesting to hear what your thoughts are when you hear the pod mic. Because from what and again, all those mics mentioned, those Rode mics, one of the beauties of Rodecaster Pro is that it identifies, you know, there's condenser and there's dynamic mics, just a generic variety, you know, third-party brands. But if it's a Rode branded mic like a Procaster or a pod mic or an NT1 or NT1A, most of those, if not all of those, are in the Rodecaster's menu where you can select your Rode mic and it'll custom tune those audio settings for your particular Rode microphone. And with that being the case, the consensus opinion that I discovered, and it may not be accurate, was for the Rodecaster Pro, you know, price aside, you know, $100 mic versus a $240, $250 mic, price aside, the consensus was that pod mic, Rode pod mic, seemed to be the one that was mated perfectly with this piece of equipment. And granted, I'll be brand new. This will be the first time unboxing, the first time hands-on with the Rode Podcaster Pro. So I'm going in this, you know, out of necessity. You know, I want to improve my audio quality. But I'm also going at it from, you know, from an adventurous perspective. You know, I want to mess with this because, you know, I want to see how much better this can make my production quality, but also learn during the way. You know, learning is fun. So, you know, go out and play with this new toy. So, you know, and obviously I'll be playing with this toy here in front of y'all. And the beauty of that is that y'all can ask questions and then I can answer them on, you know, live on the air. Hey, call me and I'll patch you into the Rode Podcaster Pro and we'll talk about, you know, your questions. So, I mean, it's gonna make this, it's going to improve, again, not just the audio quality, but it's going to make these live streams so much more powerful. Because, you know, I'll have people by call, you know, people by traditional phone call. I will have people by way of Skype, voice only. I will have people that are both face on video with voice. And it's going to be fun, man. It's going to be fun. So on that note, we have been on broadcasting for about an hour and 14 minutes. I don't know if y'all have observed any buffering issues. I have not within the studio monitor. So I think the buffering issues have been resolved. You know, per Tommy, I think the audio quality of this Rode mic, by the way, this is my #1 go-to mic for in the field. So anytime I want to mic up myself for video talent and you know, and get the best audio, this is just great because it follows them. Especially if you got somebody that walks around a lot, you know, a shotgun mic's not going to work well for them. If they walk around a lot, this is great. Now for my shotgun mic, and this is what's funny, it's also a Rode. I just use and you can find all these mics and stuff linked on my website, but it's just the little Rode Video Micro. Doesn't use a battery, and that's actually what attracted me to it because I hate fumbling with, now this does use a battery. But it's an integrated battery. It recharges by way of USB-C, which is convenient. So I can do it with battery bank. The battery life on this is exceptional. I mean, most people can get an entire day's use in the field without having to recharge it. So, you know, these are incredible. Even though they have a battery, they're hassle-free. All you got to do is stick a little USB-C in it and top it off from your car, or your battery bank, or your USB wall plug, or whatever. So it's super-duper convenient. But yeah, the Rode Video Micro is, Tommy says, amazing, my friend, thanks. Hey man, thank you for tuning in. But yeah, the Rode Video Micro has blown my mind because I was using, in the past, I was like, man, I got to have a stereo mic. And I love Sony Alpha, don't get me wrong. But I was like, okay, I got Sony Alpha, you know, what's the best on-camera microphone for the Sony Alpha? And I got, was it the ECM, whatever, the stereo mic, the Sony mic, sounds really good. You know, it didn't require a battery. It was, you know, taking its battery through the Sony multi-shoe interface, which is Sony's proprietary shoe on top of their camera. And it sounded great. But I got the less expensive Rode Video Micro and put that on there, and it sounds exceptional. and it doesn't have battery at all. I mean, it just sticks into your little 3.5 millimeter mic jack on your Sony Alpha or whatever camera you're using, and it just sounds incredible. So, you know, and it's and nothing against these other brands. I mean, I'm not, you know, a lot of people say I'm a DJI fanboy because I don't really only like DJI drones, and now people are going to call me a Rode fanboy for the microphones. But I mean, the truth is, man, now every microphone I use is Rode, and it's just because the quality, you know, whether it's a clip-on mic like I'm using now wirelessly without the optionally attachable lavalier, or if I'm using it with the lavalier, sounds great. Or if I'm using it with the little interview thing. Hey man, how y'all doing? You want to get interviewed on the street? You know, it's just, yeah, I mean, Tommy, they're huge, man. They're awesome. Australia, they're made in Australia. Rode's made in Australia, and they just work well. Their design language is nice. I mean, they're clean-looking products. It doesn't cheapen up your perceived professionalism when you go to a job and you pull out your Rode products. You know, they look good. They perform well. Yeah, I mean, it's cool. So I am super excited about that Rodecaster Pro. And, you know, it's crazy to be this excited about audio, but it's just, again, the opportunity to further improve the audio quality. And number two, the opportunity to streamline the live streaming workflow. You know, bring in your phone guest, bring in your face on video guest, make your audio consistently excellent throughout. So on that note, y'all, I appreciate y'all tuning in. And this is going to be a test. I'm about to fire up my outro, and this will test my ability to use my, because historically, for the outros, using the new equipment that I'm using now, I would mess up, and I would have a gap where you'd see me click and play on the outro segment. So in this, what I'm going to try to do, and hopefully I pull this off without incident, I'm going to try to transition naturally from my behind the desk, and the expectation is that what's going to happen here is that you're going to see, oops, see, I already messed up. You're going to see a natural transition, a smooth transition from me behind the desk to my outro segment. So let's see if this works as smoothly as expected here. Let's see. Let me go back into my doohickey here. See, I love this. It's hardware, man. Even though I've got a software interface on my laptop, and this is ATEM software control that's communicating with the Blackmagic ATEM Mini Pro over my network. So even though I'm using a software interface, it's directly interfaced with the hardware. So without further ado, I appreciate y'all tuning in, and hopefully tomorrow evening I'll have my new equipment and we'll have a really cool show then. But let's see if this transition works well. I'm going to cut over to the outro segment. I should fade out. You should hear the little outro segment fade in there. Let me see. And part of the reason I'm doing this and I'm looking stupid and sounding stupid is because I'm trying to figure this out. So when I'm interviewing the freaking founder and lead developer of the next big social media network tomorrow, Friday evening, I don't want to look like a fool. So here we go. Let's see if this, actually before I do that, I need to check this. Let me make sure I want this to go off perfectly, and I want y'all's critique during the next live show. So here we go. Okay, I'm gonna do this, and this is gonna play perfectly. Let's see. Y'all, IrixGuy here. If you enjoyed this video, please be sure to subscribe, like, and share. It's viewers like you that enable my channel to continue to grow. Thank you.